Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're building a really important bridge, the one that takes you from the world of concrete data to the world of predictive models. We're going to get into the core concepts of probability that let data scientists stop just reporting on what happened and start forecasting what could happen.
So let's just dive right in with the question that really gets to the heart of what data science is all about. You're probably used to querying databases, right? Pulling facts about what's already happened. But the real magic, the real power, comes from prediction. So how in the world do we make that jump?
All right, first things first. Let's frame the problem by looking at the world you already know, a world of facts, of certainty, and contrast that with the world we're about to step into, which is all about dealing with uncertainty. And this really shows the fundamental split. On one side, you've got SQL. It's the language of business intelligence, and it is fantastic for telling you exactly what is in your database. It's the world of hard facts. But on the other side, you've got probability. That's the language of data science. It's designed to model what might be true. It gives us a real, structured way to think about and manage uncertainty.
And that's really the key thing to get here. Probability isn't just about, flipping coins or rolling dice. It is a formal framework for building models, for testing them, and for making predictions even when we don't have all the answers. It's pretty much the engine that powers all of machine learning.
So once we get comfortable with the idea that we're dealing with uncertainty, the first big question we have to ask is, how do different events relate to each other? If one thing happens, does that tell us anything at all about something else happening?
Let's start with the simplest case, independent events. So think about flipping a normal fair coin 2 times. The result of that first flip, it gives you absolutely zero information about what's going to happen on the second flip. The chance of getting heads on that second toss is always going to be 50%, no matter what happened before. They're totally separate. They are independent.
But, most things out in the real world aren't quite that simple. Most events are actually dependent on each other. So, for example, what's the probability that I'm carrying an umbrella today? Now, what if I told you that it's pouring rain outside? Well, that new piece of information definitely changes the probability, right? Knowing that it's raining gives you a ton of information about the chance that I have an umbrella. Those two events are dependent.
And this whole idea of dependence leads us straight into one of the most powerful concepts in all of probability, conditional probability. It is all about updating what we believe. What happens to our math when we get new information, when we know for a fact that something has already happened? This is how we formally talk about these dependent events. The notation, P of E given F, it just means the probability of event E happening, given that we know event F has already happened. It's our main tool for updating our beliefs when we see new evidence. Let's see how it works with a pretty classic problem. Okay, so imagine a family with 2 children. Now, if we just assume there's a 50-50 shot for a boy or a girl, there are 4 equally likely possibilities for how the children could turn out. You could have girl-girl, girl-boy, boy-girl, or boy-boy. And each one of those has a 1 in 4 or 25% chance of happening. All right, simple enough. But now, let's introduce some new information. A condition. We're told that the older child is a girl. So how does this new fact change the probability that the family actually has 2 girls?
Well, the second we know the older child is a girl, our whole world of possibilities shrinks. We can immediately throw out the 2 outcomes where the older child is a boy. That's boy-girl and boy-boy. They're gone. So we're left with just 2 possibilities, girl-girl and girl-boy. Out of those 2, only one is the both girls scenario. So the probability becomes 1 out of 2, or 50%.
Now this is where it gets really fascinating. A super small change in the way we word our information can totally change the answer. This time, we don't know which child is a girl. All we know is that there is at least one girl. What's the probability now that both are girls?
So, this subtle little change in information, it changes everything. Knowing at least one child is a girl only gets rid of one possibility from our original 4, the boy-boy scenario. That's the only one that doesn't fit. So now we're left with 3 possible outcomes: girl-girl, girl-boy, and boy-girl. And out of those 3 equally likely possibilities, only one of them is the both girls scenario. The probability is now 1 out of 3. A completely different answer, all because of how we defined our condition.
Okay, so we've seen how to figure out the probability of something happening given that something else already happened. But what if we need to work backward? Can we flip that condition around?
This is an incredibly common problem, and it's a huge deal in data science.
Think about it. A doctor might know the probability of a patient having certain symptoms given that they have a disease. But what the doctor really wants to know is the reverse. What's the probability that the patient has the disease given the symptoms they're showing right now?
And the answer is a big yes. We absolutely can reverse the condition, and the tool we use for that is the famous Bayes' theorem. This thing is an absolute cornerstone of modern data science. It gives us a mathematical way to update our beliefs as we get more and more evidence. It's the logic behind everything from your spam filter learning what is and isn't junk to medical systems that help diagnose diseases. It is literally a formula for learning.
So far, we've mostly talked about individual events, but to build real-world models, we need a way to describe the probabilities of all the possible outcomes in a given scenario. So let's look at how we package all these ideas together.
To apply these ideas with math, we use something called a random variable. Now don't let the name intimidate you. It's actually a pretty simple idea. It's just a way to assign numbers to outcomes. So instead of saying girl, girl, we could have a random variable, let's call it x, that represents the number of girls, which could be 0, 1, or 2. This structure lets us neatly map out the probabilities for every single possible outcome. And that map, that's what we call a probability distribution.
And generally speaking, these distributions come in two main flavors. You've got discrete distributions for things you can count, right? Like the number you get on a dice roll or the number of girls in a family. There are distinct, separate outcomes. And then you have continuous distributions for things you measure, like the exact height of a person or the temperature outside. The variable can take on any value within a certain range.
And just like that, we've basically climbed this ladder all the way from the simple idea of uncertainty up to the tools you actually need to build some pretty sophisticated real-world models.
When you really step back and look at it, this progression of ideas, it forms the fundamental toolkit for any data scientist. You start by just accepting and embracing uncertainty. Then you learn to see how events are connected. You use conditional probability and Bayes' theorem to update your beliefs with new data. And then finally, you package all of that logic together into distributions to create a complete model of a system.
So now you have the language to describe and to quantify uncertainty. And with that, the possibilities are just endless. Think about the world around you. Think about the data you have access to. Every single unknown is just an opportunity to build a model. So the question is, what are you going to model first? Hey, if you found this useful, it would be a huge help if you could hit that like button, share this with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss our next explainer. Thanks for watching.